Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Deb Sofield, and you're listening to my weekly podcast series called Encouragement for Your Life. Most of you know I'm a national speaker, trainer, and coach. I like to say I help people find their voice and learn to use it. I'm also a conference speaker on the topics of public speaking, presentation skills, how to deal with the media, and crisis communication. I've got a number of other presentations on my website if you'd like to check those out. If your organization has an upcoming conference and you need a keynote speaker, I hope you'll reach out at debsofield.com. I would love to be a part. I've got a number of great books on the market. My best-selling book, Speak Without Fear. My book, Perfecting Your Platform. Both of those are on Amazon and Audible if you like to listen to books. And my series, Encouragement for Your Life, which is a compilation of these podcasts, they're available on Amazon, volumes 1 through 3. Just go into Amazon, type in my name, Deb Sofield, all my books will appear. I've got a great show for today, and I'm calling it Your Story Isn't Over Yet. I'm Deb Sofield. Thanks for joining me. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. So I've titled it, Your Story Isn't Over Yet, in praise of the humble semicolon. I know it seems odd to write about a punctuation mark, but recently I was at a restaurant and my waiter had a very pronounced semicolon tattooed on his arm. And I asked him about it. He said, well, the semicolon is now the symbol to recognize those who have struggled with depression, anxiety, addiction, and or suicidal thoughts. Gotta say, I hadn't heard about this trend of using a semicolon as a symbol of hope. The waiter went on to explain that the semicolon represents a sentence the author could have ended, but chose not to. The author is you, and the sentence is your life. And that's a quote from Amy Brule. Online, I found the project semicolon. It exists to encourage, love, and inspire. The overall purpose is to serve as a reminder that no matter what you've gone through or what you're going through, others have been there and they've moved safely on to the next chapter of their lives. The grammatical purpose of a semicolon is to mark a break that is stronger than a comma, but is not as final as a full stop. It's used between two main clauses that balance each other and are too closely linked to be made into separate sentences, per the Oxford Dictionary. Have to admit, I like the idea of a short pause in business, life, love, to simply stop, breathe, and redirect or continue. But its greatest meaning is that life goes on after a break. It is the hope that I believe so many need to hear. Recently, I was going through a pile of nice notes I got from listeners and readers who have said that my blog post or the podcast that I did years, months, or weeks ago felt like I was speaking directly to them, and they wanted me to know that they were grateful. They were grateful that I spoke truth about life and love and setting oneself free from those who did not value the person that they were. Many of the notes were very personal about the life-changing decisions that people chose to make so they would live the rest of their lives making the best of their life. Not looking back, but finding the strength to move forward, ever onward through good times and bad. In a sense, all the readers who wrote me are living the idea of a semicolon, making a choice not to stop or quit or run away, but to stand strong, work through any situation, and stay with it until they succeed, no matter what that looks like or how messy that ultimately may be. Have to admit, I like the idea of taking a break when you need to rest and picking up and going when you're ready for the journey. Because, friend, your story is not over yet, and you are the author of your life. You can rewrite the ending anytime you choose, or you can keep on keeping on. That is up to you to decide your future. I want to take a minute and focus on the idea that Amy Brule, founder of the Semicolon Project, shares about the project, which is the semicolon represents, and she quotes, a sentence the author could have ended, but chose not to. The author is you, and the sentence is your life. Have to admit, I'm always saddened and surprised when I hear of someone I know who harms themselves. The idea of causing pain purposefully is, frankly, out of my realm of understanding. Knowing that situations like that do happen, I want to say to you very, very clearly, I strongly believe you need to make a plan now to prepare yourself for the future. When you prepare mentally, emotionally, physically, even spiritually, you will be in a much better place when the storms of life rage over you. Hear me. I am certainly not hoping that the storms ever come your way, but should you find yourself in the middle of any storm that is pushing you off course, friend, you need to know in advance how to get back to the safety of the shore. You must always remember that no matter how or what you feel, and you know in your heart and head that feelings change hour by hour, minute by minute, please commit to memory that you, dear listener, are the author of your life. You've got to choose wisely. It's my prayer that no one in my circle, and if you're a reader or listener, you're in my circle, would ever consider taking such a drastic step that would leave an empty place in the hearts of those who love you or who know your name. The key is to hold on tight and be strong enough to let the painful, disruptive feelings pass, and then find and take the next step forward to continue, even if it feels hard to do at the moment. I'm going to assume that you are not in this position. But friend, as you interact with others at school and work and in the community or your place of worship, even your family, please be aware that you are surrounded by people who will or have at one time or another considered the punctuation of a period for their life and not a semicolon. Think back to all the times you thought you could not go on. At that time, you really thought you could not take it one more day. And then, after a time of rest or a reset of your mind and emotions, you either pushed through or you came to realize that the situation itself, it was a hot mess and you just needed to walk away from it. And you did. And you survived the drama, the anger, the pain, the money, or lack of it, and the ugliness of it all. Remember, although it was an awful time, looking back at your worst situation, you survived. There were hard lessons learned, no doubt, but you came through the storm, maybe worse for wear emotionally and financially at the time, but now you're free. Go back to that awful incident for just a quick second and appreciate that here you are now. You're still standing. And you are, in most cases, better off if the situation had worked out the other way. Granted, not every time, but over time, the scales have balanced in your favor because you, dear listener, chose the semicolon instead of the period. And remember, the author is you, and the sentence, well, it's your life. So let's get back to how you prepare for the unexpected. And I've got 3 ideas that have helped me in my life. Probably the first and the most important is it is never as bad as it seems. Years ago, I found myself in a situation that I should have never gotten into. I went into a business venture with some friends, only to find out they had no business experience, nor did they know how to deal with the public. On top of that, they had some funky personality issues. I saw it, but I excused it. Those issues, ultimately, were a bit frightening. By aligning myself with my new, quote, business partner, I almost ruined my reputation. A few $1,000s later, a good lawyer and a dissolution agreement saved me. At the time, I was beside myself with anger and resentment, kicking myself for being so dense and not seeing the situation for what it was. Now listen, that situation's long past, and thank goodness I'm still standing. And you will be also when time passes from any incident that you honestly are not a party to. Friend, trust the system and make sure that you've been true to your word and your bond with others. My other point is others have gone through similar tough times and survived. When I finally untangled myself legally and financially and had to break the friendship, I realized that I was just like so many others who chose the wrong business partner and had to rebuild from scratch. I was not the first one in the world to have made such an error in judgment. It happens more than I think we care to admit. But the good news is this: I learned some tough lessons, albeit the hard way, and I have never repeated those mistakes again. Probably the most important issue is you need to focus on taking one step at a time, always moving forward. Coming back to find my office a mess, my bank account emptied, my clients all gone, I eventually got them all back. I had nothing better to do than toss out what was left and start again fresh. Was it easy? No, it never is. Did I have a choice? No, not if I wanted to make a living. Besides mentally beating myself up for making such a stupid mistake, being at a disadvantage financially for a time, and then the worst part was having to explain to friends and clients that my associate and I had parted ways. I had no choice but to keep moving forward. At the end of the day, no one really cared that I had messed up, but they had faith I would make it right. Everything I had promised, because over the years, I had built a level of trust with everyone I do business with. I had prepared mentally, emotionally, physically, and I'm going to say spiritually, to plant my feet deep in the ground and hold on tight when the storms of life raged over me. And in a funny way, because I had earned a strong level of trust, I had prepared my network of clients to stand with me. And together, we weathered the storm. Was I bruised? Not really, mostly my pride. Was I broken? Not really. I'm young. In fact, I'm the youngest of 5 kids and the only girl, so it's going to take a lot to knock me down. Looking back, what I was, if I had to put into words, was lonely. Not in a sad way, but more like realizing I was going to have to rebuild by myself on my own. I remember telling a friend about my situation, about being with myself all day, every day, and although I like myself and have great conversations with me, myself, and I, having to rebuild, let's just be honest, it was lonely. It seemed insurmountable on most days. And then my friend suggested that I make at least one appointment to have either lunch or coffee with someone every day. And what that did was 3 things. It got me up and dressed and out of the house. It made me focus on others and how I could be of help to them. But most importantly, it reminded me that I wasn't alone. I had work to do, and I needed to get to work, even if it meant rebuilding myself, all by myself. I could have thrown up my hands and quit, choosing to go work for a company so I didn't have to do the heavy lifting of building a business again. I didn't quit. Looking back now, I realized, in a sense, I chose the semicolon in life, not a period. I stopped. I took a break and then I continued. So my story would be an encouragement to you that no matter if it's business, life, or love, always remember that the semicolon represents a sentence the author could have ended, but chose not to. And friend, the author is you, and the sentence is your life. Frankly, I think that deserves an amen. Amen. All right, I know it. I probably have some really strange stories for some of you who are listening. But friend, I want you to know I've been there. I've done it, and I survived. And if I can, you can too. And I just want you to know that I want to help you as you continue your journey for great success. Because I believe you can do it. And I want to remind you yet again, I don't care what the world says about you. I want you to know that I care about you, and I care about you because I believe you could do big things. And some of you are looking at a period. That is not acceptable for your amazing life. The most I'll allow is a semicolon. Take a breather, but make sure you come back. And I make this promise. I will walk alongside you as we follow your dream for success together. All right, everybody, take care. Thanks for joining me. I hope you join me next week. I've got another great program.